So much of what we witness and what we learn in childhood carries with us over into adulthood. Growing up, I was often shown that we can buy whatever we want, regardless of whether or not we can actually afford it. Now, I certainly didn't grow up with money, but from the outside looking in, it appeared that I did. And as I moved into adulthood, this idea stayed with me. If you want it, buy it. Does it have to go on a credit card? Oh well, that's fine. We want it, so we're gonna buy it. Do we have to take out a loan for it? Yeah, well, that's okay, because I still want it, so I'm gonna buy it. These are the financial ideas that stuck with me for my entire life up until very recently. I was constantly spending money that I did not have, and to add insult to injury, I was not focused or even mildly concerned about saving money, investing money, or making any kind of smart financial decisions. More often than not, I was wanting things that my friends had. I would accept invitations to go places and do things even if I couldn't afford them because I'll just put it on the credit card. And of course, anytime that a tech gadget in my life came out with a new version, I had to upgrade because I would not be caught dead without the latest and greatest version of whatever it was. And these things are the same things that, according to a survey that I will link down below, 74% of Americans also struggle with. They buy things that they can't afford with money that they don't actually have. And what's wild is that this survey also found that 1 in 6 Americans have said that their spending habits have, and I quote, ruined their lives. That's pretty crazy. It might be crazy, but it's really not that surprising. I mean, we live in the consumer capital of the world in the United States. Everywhere we go, everything we see, everything we read, it's all advertisements. It's always somebody trying to get us to spend money on something that they promise will improve our lives. Not to mention, everything is also a subscription model. So you have to pay for every individual service that you want in your life, and there's always an upgraded version to that service. Our consumer society is just totally out of control. Every second of every day, it feels like we are being pushed to give into this idea that more is better and newer is gonna make us happier. But what happens when we give into that model of constant upgrading and constant purchasing? Or what happens when we decide that the things that we have are enough and that we're okay owning what we have because number one, it probably works just fine, and number two, it more than likely serves its intended purpose? What happens are two vastly different types of lifestyles depending on which you choose. Now, I'm sure that you're familiar with the hedonic treadmill, but for anybody who isn't familiar, the hedonic treadmill is basically this idea that eventually we're going to return to our baseline happiness regardless of our emotional highs and our emotional lows. So in reality, this looks like that excitement that you felt when you upgraded that thing or bought that car or whatever it was. That excitement and joy and that dopamine hit is going to go back down to your base level of happiness over time. That ecstatic feeling that you have is not going to last. And this was my exact experience. It is all an illusion. I have been here countless times, but there are certain things that I have put into practice that really help making going without easier than saying yes to every single thing that I want to buy or own or do. I promise you that with these 6 practical tips, it will actually be easier to go without than to say yes to everything. Now, this isn't some type of radical, life-changing hack by any means. These are things that take intentional practice and they do take time. They don't happen overnight. You're not going to perfect these in a short amount of time. They're more like muscles that you have to build. But once you build these muscles, they will change your life. So I'm really excited to go over these 6 practical ways that I can enjoy saying no to all of the things that are thrown at me and find a deep-seated joy in just being content and going without. And I hope these things are also helpful to you. Number 1 is to write down your values and keep this list with you wherever you are and talk to yourself about these values on a regular basis. Revisit these often. Think about things that truly matter to you and don't think about things necessarily right now, but think about things long term. When you look back over your life, what are you going to be happy that you valued? Because at the end of the day, being able to align your actions and what you do and the choices you make with what you actually value can change your entire life. Because aligning your actions with your values makes it infinitely easier to say no to the things that don't serve those values. The second thing, which has taken me a long time to get better at, and I am still not perfect, this is something that I still struggle with, is practicing delayed gratification. Anytime that an item is over $50, I make myself wait at least 7 days before I buy it. Now, I will write that thing down or take a picture of it, but I will not buy it until I have considered and thought about it for 7 days. If the price tag is higher than $50, then I make myself wait even longer. And what I found is that giving yourself that gap of time and that time where you can let that immediate gratification impulse sort of dissipate, you come to realize that if you put time in between your impulse and your decision, you are way less likely to buy that thing or do that thing. Now, again, this is something that you have to practice. I am still practicing this, and I by no means am perfect at it, but it is just like a muscle that you have to build, and the stronger that you build that muscle, the easier it becomes to say no. Number 3 is learning to appreciate the reduction that you have in decision fatigue. When you're at the store and you have this impulse to buy this thing, you spend so much time thinking about the pros and cons. Do I actually want it? Or maybe you really can't afford it and you sit there for way too long trying to justify this purchase by any means necessary so that you can take it home guilt-free. But when you can appreciate the fact that if you just go in the store, if you see something that you want and you can tell yourself, no, I don't need that, or no, that needs to wait, that took all of 2 seconds instead of standing there having this whole long conversation with yourself and wasting all that time. Appreciating and experiencing that reduction in decision fatigue, it really just helps to free up a lot of mental space that we can use to think about things that actually matter. I know that I'm beating a dead horse with number 4, and I know that people talk about this left and right, but it's because it just bears repeating, because even as much as everybody talks about it, I don't think we get it. And that is to stop comparing yourself to other people. The only way that I have found for myself to make this actually work is to realize that everybody in life is in a different season of life. So if you're comparing where you are at in life to where somebody else is at in life, you don't know what circumstances they have or what work they put in to get there. So it's really unfair to you to compare yourself and find yourself often not measuring up to those other people. I also take that opportunity when I find that comparison creeping in to stop and think about the things in my life that I wanted so badly and that I prayed for so long that I am finally seeing the fruit of. Many of these things are actually not physical or material possessions. They're more often than not lifestyle things, and just realizing that so much of what we have is things that we have wanted for so long really helps us to build that muscle of gratitude. Number 5 is to remember that financial freedom, or if you're not there yet, financial security is worth far more valuable than that quick dopamine hit that you're going to get from taking home that flashy object that you thought you had to have. A really good strategy that I use is I ask myself, what do I think I'm going to feel like in a week or a month after owning this thing? So I'll give you an example. The leather chair that I film all of my YouTube videos in, I really wanted another one, just honestly to help balance the space. It was pretty much all aesthetic related. But I really thought about, 6 or 12 months down the road when I had this thing, is it actually going to be used? Am I going to look at that chair and be so glad that I bought it? Probably not, because it would go out in the sunroom. I'm the only one that sits out in the sunroom, and I only have one butt to put into one chair at a time. It wouldn't be a good way to spend my money, and I don't think that down the line I would still be happy with that purchase. So trying to put purchases into perspective in that way and think about what your life will look like down the line if you buy that is a really solid way to be honest with yourself about whether or not that thing actually needs to come home with you. The last strategy to combat this impulsive desire to give in to every want that we have is to just appreciate your free time. Now, work is a blessing. Having a job, being able to provide for your family, having your needs met, that is a blessing. And I am not trying to say that, free time is all that we should go after. However, so many of us work more than we actually need to because we want to buy these things that we think are going to make us happy, give us social status, whatever it is. But time is our most valuable asset because it's the thing that we will never get back. So again, looking at things out of perspective, when you look back on this time in your life when you're working all this overtime and you're not at home with your family and you're slaving yourself to this job where they would replace you at the dime of a hat, when you look back on all that time that you spent, is it actually going to be worth it? Now, sometimes it is going to be worth it because of the season of life that you're in. You need the extra income. I totally understand that. But I think especially in America, we work a lot just so that we can buy more stuff. And I know this to be true because I was stuck in this cycle for a long time. And I'm so grateful to be in a position, and I honestly give all of the credit to my husband because he's really the one that helped me see this clearly, that our time is just so precious and we just cannot get it back. So learn to appreciate your free time and learn to recognize that while work is important, work is not everything. So those are the 6 things that I practice to keep myself from giving in to every single purchase impulse that I have. And they work really well. However, they're not something where you're going to want to implement all 6 of them at the same time. That would actually get really overwhelming. But I would recommend implementing these one at a time and try them out for a week and see how you feel. I would also recommend journaling about what habit you put into practice and then what you noticed as a result of that. I find that when I write things down that I internalize it better and I tend to remember it better. So these things have totally changed my life because I no longer, sometimes I've gotten a lot better at realizing that life is just easier when we decide to not give in to all the marketing that's around us and we learn to be content. It's just, once you get into the practice of it, it's so much easier to say no than it is to give into every single desire that you have. So I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that these habits that I gave you are practical and actionable for you. I am so grateful for your guys' support here on my channel. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you in the next one.